Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea is a 1961 science fiction disaster film that was produced and directed by Irwin Allen, and it stars Walter Pidgeon and Robert Sterling, with a supporting cast made up of Peter Lorre, Joan Fontaine, Barbara Eden, Michael and Sarah, and Frankie Avalon. The storyline was written by Irwin Allen, with the opening credits theme song sung by Frankie Avalon. Its storyline goes that U.S. Navy Admiral Harriman Nelson evokes some pretty extreme views. A lot of people believe he's the greatest scientific mind around, while others think he's a complete nut. But his latest project is an atomic submarine called the Seaview, which he designed and built. But that submarine is causing some divergent views. It's going through its final test in the Arctic region when one day it unexpectedly goes through a dangerous underwater ice shower with ice pieces the size of large boulders. The crew learns that this is caused by the Van Allen radiation belt being on fire, causing the breakup of icebergs on the surface. If the fire is not contained, it could mean the destruction of the Earth. They have a UN meeting in New York to discuss what to do about it. Nelson states that he believes that the fire will not burn out, as many other scientists believe, and he thinks that he can extinguish the fire by shooting a missile at the belt in exactly 16 days. His view is supported by his longtime friend and fellow scientist, retired Commodore Emery. Unable to get any orders for or against from the U.S. government, Nelson proceeds to sail the Seaview to his intended destination, which is against the wishes of the UN. Despite being generally loyal to the Admiral, many aboard the Seaview believe his actions have become irrational and foolish, and they border on reckless. These internal struggles that occur are not the only obstacles that he faces, but also the regular perils of the ocean and the UN, who they learn has issued a seek and destroy order for the submarine. The crew is on the verge of mutiny, and one of them seems to be sabotaging the mission, even at the expense of some of the other crew members' lives. The film's submarine design is unique in featuring an 8-window bow viewport that provides a panoramic undersea view. In the novelization that was done for the film by Theodore Sturgeon, the windows are described as oversized hull plates which happen to be transparent. They are made of extempered herculite, a process that was developed by Admiral Nelson. In the movie, the Seaview has 8 bow windows in the exterior shots, but only 4 appear in the interior shots showing the lower level observation room. The 4 upper windows are implied to be out of frame at the top of the observation room. The lower hull has an exterior shark-like bow flare, and the stern has a 1961 Cadillac fin look. All of this is propelled by a water jet system, generally pretty similar to the system that was employed by the Red October. The movie was part of a real upswing in science fiction and fantasy films. The production marked Walter Pidgeon's return to filmmaking after several years of working in theater alone. The set designer Herman Blumenthal didn't approach the Navy at all to do research on the submarine. He relied solely on pictures of naval vessels in the media to design the sub. The theatrical release posters that were done numbered a total of 4. Each one of them had different wording and slightly different artwork. They each promote the film from a different perspective. The movie was previewed on June 18th, 1961, and it was released to theaters in July of 61, and it completely had run its course by late fall. For filming the production, detailed sets, props, and scale models were created to realize the Seaview submarine. After the film was completed, all these sets were placed in storage. When Irwin Allen decided to make Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea television series, all he had to do was pull the sets out of storage. This was done at a fraction of the cost than what he would have had to have done had he had to have begun everything from scratch. The movie reduced the cost of setting up this show and was the template for the type of stories that were done. The overall success of this feature film led to the production for 4 years of the ABC series. The design of the submarine model took full advantage of hydrodynamics. In the underwater scenes, it was simply pushed into frame by an off-camera diver and allowed to glide freely by itself. This made these scenes quite realistic, although in one clip it can be seen losing momentum and arching downward a tiny bit just as the scene cuts. All the surface scenes were done by pulling it with thin wires. Now we get the pleasure during the film of seeing the lovely Barbara Eden, along with the equally lovely Joan Fontaine. Now Miss Fontaine has a real famous elder sister, that being Olivia de Havilland. And these two are the only siblings to have won leading acting Academy Awards. But these two had a real troubled relationship. Contrary to press reports, the sisters continued to have a pretty good relationship during the 1940s. There was a lot of jealousy between them, and the sisters reportedly got to the point that they quit talking to each other at all after 1975. This all happened because of their mother's funeral, in which Joan was out of the country and wasn't even invited to it. Both of them didn't like commenting publicly about their relationship, but it's no secret that they didn't like each other at all. Even though they were tied by blood together, they were pretty staunch enemies. Go back and watch this classic from the early 60s. You'll enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics